If I had to pick 3 emojis to represent the themes from HMPS 26, I would choose a magnifying glass because AI search was the subject of many presentations and seemed to be the biggest hallway worry here. Number 2, I would pick a blue heart because everyone was talking about trust, how we've lost it and how we need to build it back. And number 3, I would pick a human brain because despite the hype, AI can't solve every problem that we have in healthcare marketing. We need to start using our noggins again. This is my summary of the 2026 edition of the Healthcare Marketing and Physician Strategy Summit, otherwise known as HMPS 26. Let's get to it.
Swaay Health.
Okay, it probably won't come as a surprise that AI was the big theme here at HMPS 26. What I was a little surprised at was how AI search is dominating the agenda and the hallway conversations. There were at least a dozen presenters and panelists who spoke about how AI is changing the way patients search for care. And, if I'm being honest, I'm 100% in agreement with those statements. Every month, there is more and more data that shows that people are turning to ChatGPT, Gemini, Anthropic, and all the other LLMs out there for medical information, even though they know they aren't supposed to rely on those tools for that type of work. A year ago, there was a ton of talk here at conferences like HMPS about how to get cited on those types of AI searches. But I never really bought into that argument. I think, in fact, it's a fool's errand. It would take you too much money and too much effort to become the cited source when someone types in a question like, "What should I do when I scratch a mosquito bite to the point it bleeds?" Now I think we've all gotten smarter, and we realize that the best thing to do is not to be cited in an answer to that kind of general medical question, but rather be there when someone types in a question like, "Who is the best cardiologist who speaks Spanish, takes my insurance, is a published expert in this particular illness, has a high quality outcome, and within a 25-minute drive of my office?" If your organization doesn't appear in the answer to that kind of a query, then you're gonna lose out on that potential patient. And that's where attendees and speakers here at HMPS spent most of their time discussing. I think this is a far more practical and frankly realistic place for healthcare providers to focus their energy. Now, to play here, it means tidying up your website, leveraging things like schema markup to make sure that AI can read all that important information on your websites. And of course, getting things like your provider directory all cleaned up so that your listings are accurate. Oh, and probably one of the most important things I learned here is to get ready for the agentic web so that people and their AI tools can easily book an appointment. There were a lot of excellent speakers here on this topic of AI, including Martha Van Berkel, Nardeep Singh, Lacey Reichwald, Chris Pace, Daniel Fell, Sajul Raju, Emily Ansel, Diane Hammonds, Liz Dennison, Keir Bradshaw, Bridget Duffy, Aaron Patzer, Raj Ratwani, and many more. I fully expect this topic of AI search to dominate the discussions for the rest of 2026. Now, here are a few attendees I caught up with here who shared their thoughts about AI, patient experience, and search.
My name is Martha Van Berkel, and I'm the CEO at Schema App. Schema markup has been around for 10 years, but it's even more important now because what's top of mind right now for marketers is both visibility in AI as well as control, sort of avoiding hallucinations. And so schema markup is going to help with SEO. Google just said, it's actually part of like what helps you stand out in their AI features, but it's also helping you get 40% more visibility in LLMs. And so if it's something that you haven't considered, over the last 10 years, now is a great time to look into it as a way, again, to drive visibility and control for your brand in AI.
Jim Patko, I'm here at HMPS26. I'm part of the True North agency team. Look, there's a couple themes that are stitched throughout this conference. Absolutely, AI is everywhere. There's a lot to talk about. It's changing the algorithms out there, the way people search for care, the way the content's presented to them. That's a big one. The other one is really around how does marketing, they're challenged in a lot of ways to prove value, right? And make that leap from traditional metrics to really true ROI and kind of going beyond just vanity metrics into appointments scheduled, and ultimately, are those appointments being followed through? And if they're not, then let's go out and actually mine the data and create marketing tactics around all of that. So just great stuff all around, enjoying the conference.
Hi, I'm Lacey Reichwald, Director of Marketing at AHA Media Group, and I think that search is evolving so quickly that in 6 months, we might not even be calling it search. We might be talking about it more as a conversation. Really, people are starting to have conversations with LLMs and chatbots, and even Google is pushing people into more conversational search. So I think that for marketers, what we'll be thinking about is how can we be a part of the conversation, and that really translates also into how we're writing our content to be conversational, to answer those questions and be a part of that.
Hi, I'm Shannon Curran, Chief Marketing Officer at Unpack Health. Here we are in Salt Lake City at HMPS. So excited. It's been a great conference so far. We've had a dirty soda bar here as an ode to Salt Lake, and we've got a lot of people coming in and chatting with us about a lot of different things. AI seems to be the hot topic of the day, along with trust and authenticity, and that's why we're really excited to be here and supporting HMPS this year.
Hi, my name is Janie Wolf. I'm the Director of Insights and Strategy at Core Creative. This is actually my first year at HMPS, so this has been really exciting for me to experience this. It was great to meet old friends and new friends, and some of the big takeaways. I've sat in on a few sessions, and AI is permeating every single conversation, and I think there's just so much, anxious energy about how technology is changing everything. But what really stood out to me is that, we're still doing the same things, and AI is really making us get back to basics. To me, as a marketer, we have to have clarity. This is a reminder that in our messages, we have to have clarity. We have to bring that human element all of the time. I think we can get so caught up in what AI is and what it can do, but it really hasn't changed the basics of what we're doing. And I think so much of what I heard over this session was just a really great reminder of getting back to those basics: clarity, humanity, empathy, and really thinking about how all of the different encounters we have with our audiences are impacted by all of that. And we just got to keep it simple.
Yeah, it's interesting how far AI has come in the last few years, honestly, the last year in general, and it is a tool that absolutely needs to be adopted by healthcare agencies. It's really interesting to see how dynamic it is, from the integrations to how it can be used throughout your work within your health system. Yeah, no, we have been really experimenting with AI tools to see how it would be a good fit. And like anything, there's so many AI tools out there, so really trying to test to see what works and what doesn't. But we're finding that it is really coming to light, showing how access can be a little bit more readily available. We're really kind of honing in on our consumers and our target audiences, and AI has just been really a gift in efficiencies for those standalone marketers. They're not up late at night anymore. They're really kind of able to relax a little bit and rely on AI tools to get them that best information to advance their work.
Hi, I'm John with Valitech. I lead our healthcare business for the Americas. It's been a great HMPS. I gotta tell you, AI, of course, that's what we're hearing all the time. But the hot take, of course, from this year is undoubtedly the John Burt versus Chris Boyer debate that happened this morning on whether AI is accelerating humanization of healthcare within the space. So that's my hot take from Salt Lake City.
Now, I picked the blue heart because trust was mentioned almost as frequently as AI was here at HMPS 26. Everyone was talking about how trust in healthcare institutions has severely eroded and how we now have to operate from the position of negative trust rather than what it was like maybe a decade plus ago where healthcare had high trust with the public. Now, it doesn't matter why it is the way it is, it just matters that it is the way it is. And actually, that's the kind of pragmatism that I find encouraging here at HMPS 26. Because for too long, healthcare glossed over its patient experience flaws, because despite how we treated patients, they kept coming back. Well, now that's no longer the case, and it's forcing some really needed change when it comes to patient experience and that digital front door. There were quite a few sessions here that talked about how we can win trust back by providing good service, by being clear up front in terms of the financial impact and the services that we're delivering, by personalizing the way we talk to patients in whatever channel they want to communicate with us. These were some of the tips in an excellent session that featured Brian Gresh, Chief Marketing and Communications Officer at Community Health Network, and Sarah Gilstrap, VP of Healthcare Experience Strategy at Qualtrics. But for all the talk about trust here at HMPS, I really had two questions that I hope future presenters can address, or maybe someone out there watching this can reach out with an answer. Because in a world where marketing ROI is paramount, how can marketers earn the patience from executives that is 100% absolutely necessary to build trust? I ask that because trust isn't something that happens overnight. It takes time, a very long time to build. And it's not something that happens on the back of a single campaign or a single ad. So I'm really curious to know how anyone has gotten buy-in for trust-building campaigns and trust-building initiatives from executives for that long runway that's needed for those types of activities. If you know, let me know. And my second question related to trust is that I really didn't get a good sense of how trust should be measured. Is polling and surveys the only way to track this? Are there empirical metrics that can be used to measure trust and therefore measure the impact that trust initiatives are having? I don't know. And there wasn't really a good answer here at HMPS. Now, and I realize, of course, trust is what we all want in healthcare, but if there isn't a way to track it, then how do we know we've actually achieved it? If you have a metric or a way to measure trust, let me know in the comments or reach out and we'll make sure you get on the program. Here are a few attendees I caught up with who also noticed a lot of the discussions around trust.
Hey, this is Steve Koch from Cast and Hue, day one at HMPS, and I would say if there's one theme that I've heard in conversations and at sessions, it's been about trust. And core to that is trust is the number one indicator of likelihood to recommend. And a stat that I saw that kind of blew my mind was that consumer trust in hospital systems has dropped 50 points in the last 5 years. And so we're at a place where we need to reestablish trust, and that becomes, marketing has a big role there, but it's also how does marketing partner with experience and partner with operations? Because trust is all about setting expectations appropriately and then delivering on those. And so once again, the message is about how do we all get together, break down those silos, work together, design and deliver consistent experiences that build trust.
Hey, I'm Jeremy Dietz from Coffee Communications. I'm the Director of AI Strategy and Content. Really enjoyed the show. I would say it's been interesting to hear people talk a lot about trust and a lot about AI and this idea of like, we got to regain trust, but we also have to use AI, but no one trusts AI, so how do we do all this? But it's been a lot of great conversations and a lot of great sessions.
Hey everybody, it's Chris Pace, VP of Digital Experience Strategy at SearchStacks. And I'm here at HMPS in beautiful Salt Lake City, and my hot take is that trust is the new currency in healthcare. We've been talking all about winning back consumers after the pandemic and access challenges, but at the end of the day, the one thing that matters most is trust. And one thing that we've learned in some custom research that we partnered with MDRG on is that 80% of consumers believe that a digital experience can impact trust. And so I urge everybody to evaluate their web presence and look at their tech stack and see if your web experience is doing what it needs to do to earn trust.
Hi, I'm Rob Klein. I'm founder and CEO at Klein & Partners. We're a national healthcare market research firm, and I'm here at HMPS, and what I'm hearing everyone talking about is trust. So I want to kind of reframe it for you. So I've been studying trust for well over 20 years, and before trust really meant, what do we do to earn people's trust? Just like, what do we do to build a strong brand? Nowadays, it's about what do we do to regain lost trust? That's the big shift in reframing how we're talking about trust. Trust has always been important, but now we're working from behind. We've lost trust because of COVID, and we have to work to regain it. If you think of it that way, it changes your thinking and your strategies about how do we regain something. It's almost like how do we rebuild a bridge with a friend that we broke. So when you're working on trust and thinking about it, think about it in that current framework of rebuilding, not just earning.
Hi, I'm Kennedy Kano. I'm a digital experience strategist at 10 Atoms. And my takeaway from the conference, from HMPS 2026, has been to make sure you have the human touch in every single thing that you do. Whether it's social media, your website, your patient experience. With AI creeping in, everything that's happening in 2026, do not lose the human touch.
Hello, my name is Lamise Dromgold. I'm a VP of Client Strategy at 10 Atoms. And, building off what Kennedy said, not only about the human touch, but making sure that you're building trust with your consumers. There's a lot of options out there for them, and they know that great care is kind of that baseline that everybody is offering, but they really need to be able to trust their providers, especially in the realm of AI, making sure that they're getting the right diagnosis and medication, and just trust in the healthcare system overall.
Hi, this is Craig Blake from AMSIF Health here at HMPS in Salt Lake City. And one of the things that I've been hearing about a little bit about over our time here in Salt Lake is that in 2030 will be the oldest period of Americans in the United States. So what that means is we're going to have a population that's going to need more care than ever. The way to really make sure that we meet the needs of those patients is through data, leveraging data to make sure we're servicing this patient population correctly. Also using that data to get buy-in from our leaders and the administrators that are going to be helping to provide this level of care. This is something we can't ignore. It's all part of that trust conversation that has really been the overarching theme over the past couple of days. So really, let's make sure we're using the data to communicate appropriately and target those individuals with the right message at the right time. I know we've said that a lot over the many, many years, but now is more than ever, because that moment in time is going to go away quick.
Hi, it's Jeremy Rogers. I'm Vice President Digital Marketing Experience at IU Health. We're at HMPS day number 2 here in Utah. Really good session so far, really good engagement. I say 2 common themes. Number 1 is trust. Multiple sessions talking about different aspects of trust, what it means for providers, team members, trust with patients, trust with each other. It's been a recurring theme. And then obviously AI. I would say there's been probably a bit more AI focused this year than last year, which surprises me a bit. Good in the sense that there's different points of view, different perspectives, but I think it's still a bit played out. I think people they're focusing more on the technology versus the value and benefit it can bring. So we try to bring a bit more of that into the conversation, but it's been a good dialogue so far. Really good energy. I think compared to last year, it was a bit gloom and doom. A lot of marketers are really suffering. I sense more positivity this year. I think people are leaning in more. They understand it's the new normal. We do have challenges. It's not rosy everywhere, but they're opportunistic. They see the light at the end of the tunnel. So I think it's been really good so far.
Now, I chose a brain emoji because the session that resonated most with me was one that was very old school. The presenters used Brainpower rather than any AI or fancy tools to affect change in their organizations. It was a session called From Call Center to Access Engine, and it featured Pam Landis from Hackensack Meridian Health, AJ Malarango from Singola Consulting, and Kelly Faley, formerly of Sharp Healthcare, now of Kelly Faley Consulting. At the start of their presentation, they put up this slide. It was titled, "Access is Failing and Technology Isn't Fixing It." I thought that was very appropriate. And there was one stat on here that jumped out at me, and that was that 27% capacity is lost due to scheduling inefficiencies and suboptimal template design. That was the presenter's nice way of saying that there were too many different appointment types with too many rules on where and when those appointments could be scheduled, and the fact that not all appointments could actually be booked online. There's not an AI in the world that will help convince a clinician or an entire department to standardize on a particular type of appointment or put their entire calendar completely online. That takes human-powered negotiation, and that was the key message from the presenters. Now, in the latter part of the presentation, Landis spoke about the work that they put into their call center. Oh, sorry, I mean their access center. And that actually was a key reframe that they used at Hackensack. And by doing so, they changed how that center was perceived. According to Landis, a call center is where order takers work. It is where patient requests get fulfilled, and it's basically a cost to the organization. An access center, on the other hand, drives health for the community, helps patients get the care that they need, and is where revenue is generated. Access centers get budget and attention. Call centers do not. Now, to streamline their access center, Hackensack consolidated onto a single technology platform. They reduced the number of manual workflows that they had for the different appointment types, and they increased training and collaborated more closely with their operational teams. They did not implement a AI chatbot or any AI automation. The results from their work are impressive. You can see some of them here on this slide. Abandon rates dropped to 6% from 31%. Speed to answer went to 30 seconds from 5 minutes. And most importantly, they showed a 30% increase in revenue. I think this presentation was fantastic because it was a reminder that you don't need AI to become better and to offer better access. There are a lot of ways we can make improvements without dropping hundreds of thousands or even millions of dollars on the latest and greatest AI platform. There's a lot of things we can do just with some elbow grease and some critical thinking. Now, here are a few final comments about HMPS from several of the attendees that I caught up with.
I'm Hernando Ruiz Jimenez. I'm the Chief Marketing and Communications Officer for Geisinger.
And I'm Dan Lavelle. I'm the Vice President of System Marketing at Geisinger.
So it's been a very interesting couple of days here. What I really find interesting is that we've been talking about going beyond pure acquisition. We know that a lot of what we do is reputation, and how do we drive preference from our brands. I think we take that for granted. It's a topic that probably we need to think about, but we started looking at what I usually call retention, which actually is not retention in itself. It also involves on, the technical term would be cross-selling, which I know is something that is kind of dirty in our industry, but it's how do we actually guide consumers through that journey, through that health journey that they really need to do, and how do we use the data that we have to do it in a way that works for them, but also works for the system. And I think that's a lot of what you guys have been doing and what you've been talking about in some sessions.
Yeah, and I would add to that, I totally agree with Hernando. I think one of the key points that keeps coming up in conversations is that Americans desire to be healthier. but they need the guidance to be able to do that. So the marketing team needs to be accountable for that in the future. And that conversation of, well, marketing is about consumerism, marketing is about digital, marketing is about engagement, it's about experience, it's activation, it's all of those things. It's not any one of those things. So one of the common themes that I think I get really excited about, and it's been very clear here, is marketing is really about the profitable production of health. And the marketer of the future will take just as much responsibility to create healthier populations, and that really being the focus, not just acquisition or just activation or just digital, but really what's that outcome look like to create healthier communities. And I know at Geisinger that's super important for us too.
Yeah, because at the end of the day, we're serving our communities. So how do we make sure that we are doing what is best for them, and what is best for them is not being in our hospitals all the time, is how do we take them to the right provider at the right time, at the right cost. So that's the thing that we need to figure out, and I think this is going to help us. Something else also that I found very interesting is the conversation on AI. I think we all run with AI, but we've done some programs on how, and there's a lot of work behind it with humans actually checking, because it's not as easy as going and letting the AI run loose and get you some lists. I mean, it's a lot more complicated than that.
It's Matt Turek from Optimizely Health here. This year, obviously, one of the big topics is AI. I think everybody knows that. What we've been seeing, like more so than just AI, the technology itself, is really kind of the change management, development of AI policies. We're seeing a lot of deliberation and consideration as to how it's going to affect the organizations.
Hello, my name's Megan Crombie. I'm an account executive on the health team as well. I've been hearing a lot about taking your digital front door, your website, to the next level. So what does that mean from a conversion perspective? How do we create an incredibly personalized website that not just appeals to everybody, but appeals to specifically that particular person or demographic or location? So that's definitely something that we're seeing a lot of.
Hi, everyone. My name is Riley Winterton. I'm on the sales development team for healthcare at Optimizely. First HMPS ever, first time in Salt Lake, so it's been awesome. I think one of the big things that I've heard at our booth over here is using AI in a regulated industry like healthcare is pretty tricky, and teams are trying to figure out how to go beyond just using ChatGPT or some other chatbot, and how can they really add AI into their workflows to take stuff off their plate and improve their content workflows, their digital workflows, and use that to be a force multiplier.
Hi, I'm Dan O'Neill with Optimizely on the pre-sale side, on the solution architect side. This show's been fantastic. Great people at the booth that we've had talking with. I would say the big thing on my side, just the reaction that I'm showing when I'm giving live demos, just that this technology is here. It's here today that they're not aware of. And just being able to showcase that they can really have those efficiencies part of their content supply chain, those workflows that they're doing every day that's taking a lot of time, and how that can happen right now. Those needs can be addressed for that. So great reaction, great conversations, and it's been a really good show.
Hi, I'm Ben Dillon, the CEO of Geonetric. We're a web development and digital marketing consultancy working with hospitals and health systems and other folks on the provider side of healthcare all across the United States. We're here at the HMPS show. It's great to see everybody and see the energy. It's really wonderful to see things starting to pop back this year from a couple years that I think have been a little bit rough on our space and our industry. We do an annual-ish survey of the space. This year we collaborated with Greystone and Klein and Partners to do that survey. Actually, last week got to showcase a little bit of that data at Swaay Health Live. That was a lot of fun to be out there and to be able to share some of that information. But it's exciting to see people really looking to do stuff this year. Like, budgets are starting to rebound a little bit. There's a lot of movement in the space. Organizations that are maybe overdue to rethink how they're presenting themselves to the world digitally are going to get to do that here, hopefully, in 2026.
Hi, my name is Nardeep Singh. I'm the Director of Marketing Communications at Renown Health. And something that I'm enjoying here at the conference is all the collaboration. We're hearing a lot about technology. We're hearing about how our industry is shifting and changing. But all I see is collaboration. People are sharing their work plans. People are sharing their strategies, their tech stack. So that to me is what makes healthcare marketing very unique and something that I'm really enjoying at the conference.
I'm Paul Baranowski, the CMO of Merge, and we are a marketing and technology agency. I'm here at HMPS 26, and the theme that I'm hearing this week is all about humanity and bringing that experience to patients and consumers. And I think there's a time when people are looking for healthcare that they're actually consumers at that point. And what that transition is from being a consumer to a patient and making sure that that humanity and that patient experience follows through. And I think a lot of that comes through empathy, and we talk a lot about storytelling and really engaging with people on an emotional level. And I think throughout the process of whatever health issue or concern, that's such an important part of relating to your healthcare provider.
Hi, I'm Liz Dinson with Piedmont here at HMPS, and one of the hot takes that I've noticed, or one of the hot takes that I have, it's really all about collaboration with legal, with compliance, and with IS. And this is stuff we knew going in, but it really was reaffirmed with all the sessions that I attended. You have to be friends with those people who make the rules in order to make the rules work for you, to implement AI, or whatever technology you're looking at next.
This is Lawrence James, CEO of Tilt. We're a brand strategy agency. We're here at HMPS in 2026, Salt Lake City. There's a great collection of healthcare brands here, very passionate people. Some of the big topics in the last couple of days have been around the relevance of brand strategy, how strong brands should be showing up versus service line marketing versus sports marketing, and a lot of questions on return on investment. So everybody's very engaged. Most sessions have had tremendous questions. I personally have really enjoyed some of the ROI studies. I've learned that teams are now teaming up with finance, they're working with HR. It's really nice to see that marketing is starting to come together as a whole unit for all of these healthcare brands.
I'm Christy Pretzinger, I'm the CEO of WG Content, and I'm here with 3 other members of my team. I'm not as often at these conferences as the rest of my team is, so I probably have a little bit of a different take. I would say my takeaway is that, probably, a year and a half, 2 years ago, people kind of got a little nervous and became very wary about purchasing, and we saw the effect of that. I feel now that it's kind of loosening up a little bit, which is great. I also feel like there's not quite the enthusiasm that there was prior, but I still think things are loosening up. People understand they can't stop doing things. And so I feel like that's what I'm starting to see, is people are moving forward and doing things maybe a little less aggressively than they had before. But it's all good, I think.
Hi, my name's Kirsten Sears. I'm with Invoca. I'm standing here at HMPS 26. A lot of conversation around agentic AI happening here. Lots of healthcare professionals looking to introduce agentic into their tech stacks and looking at privacy, etc., and how we can do that in a compliant way.
Hi, I'm Brad Munch, CEO here at Symmetris. My hot take for HMPS this year is that everything seems to be about AI pilots trying to implement this stuff, but it's all about change management and in budget cuts. So I think the hype curve is starting to be more realistic, and I'm glad about that.
I'm Lauren Miners, Director of Partnerships and Marketing for Reason One, and my hot take, or at least a trend that I'm noticing this year at HMPS, is that unusual partnerships and perhaps even some strange bedfellows are starting to become a little bit more of the norm. So whether that's a hospital partnering with a community organization in order to build trust within a community, or maybe even health systems that might have ordinarily been seen as adversarial are starting to join together to create better outcomes in their communities.
All right, Dave. So as somebody who's been in this industry a very long time, we have a lot of things going on right now. What are the things that you feel like are the biggest challenges right now, and how does Mount Sinai address those or is thinking about them? I'd love to hear more.
Okay, sure. Thank you. Well, it's nice to talk to you. Always great to see you. I think the pace of change, number one, things are happening so quickly and the changes are so fast. How do we keep up with them? I hate to be cliche with AI, but AI is part of that issue, and it's both a great opportunity, but also, a challenge for us. Yeah. And I spoke the other day about FOAI, fear of AI, and the idea that AI needs to be something that we use strategically to help us as opposed to responding to it. And then there's just the general economic pressures on systems such as Mount Sinai and others. It's very real. The bill is coming, and it's kind of like this cliff is happening. So we're very worried about just being able to have the funds and the resources necessary to fulfill our mission.
Absolutely. Can I ask one follow-up question?
Yes.
So what I'm hearing are some of these organizations need to build not a brand guideline, but an AI guideline. Has Mount Sinai started down that path yet? Like what's kosher? What isn't? What can I do? What can't I do? What is it Claude? Is it chat? Where are the limitations? Or have you guys gone down that route?
So our terrific digital team started on that journey almost a year ago.
Awesome.
And we actually have promulgated guidelines for the proper and ethical use of AI. So we have a whole series of things that we've put out. And one of the most important things is that no matter how you're using AI, at the end of the day, there's a person responsible. So it's never just AI. It's AI with human intervention. We like to call it HIAI, human instructed AI.
Love that.
So that way we have the full benefit of the brain as well as what AI does. So there you go. All right.
I love that. That's great.
Talking to you.
Always
Take
good
care.
to see you. Yeah.
Bye-bye.
I want to close by giving a huge shout out to Judy Neiman and her team. This was a fantastic HMPS conference here in Salt Lake City. It was a great agenda, great speakers, great venue. Everything ran smoothly. Thank you for allowing me to come here and participate in the sessions and tour the exhibit hall. Kudos also to everyone who shared their thoughts with me and comments on camera. It is sincerely appreciated. And that's actually part of what I get excited about going to these conferences. It's so fun to get the chance to talk to so many interesting people and to see the conference through their eyes. I always learn something new. I can't wait for HMPS in Austin next year. And hey, if you made it this far in the video, we would really appreciate it if you mash that like button and click subscribe. Also, head on over to Swaay Health, that's Swaay with 2 A's, .health, where you will find more great content like this. I'm Colin Hung, thanks for watching, and I'll catch you on the next video.